1. We are live.
Okay, so we're back and Charlene's ready for us to do our absentee ballot application approval. Charlene, you want to go over what you just mentioned?
So as of yesterday at about 5 p.m., there was 1,030 mail-in ballots. And that was strictly what we could count. Those were not your yellow sheets. That was a totally separate number. And as of yesterday, 5 o'clock, we were sitting on about 241 of those.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like I mentioned, it's been a constant stream all day today with people hand delivering ballots. And then the mail dropped. And then that was basically a tub of this slap full of ballots as well.
Mm.
So I don't have a true number for you guys. So it'll be at your discretion as to how many you would like to pull.
Okay, so we normally do
2 per precinct.
Mhm.
So if that's something y'all would like to do as well, we can do
Is that
that.
good with everybody? They'll be saying
This is what Caroline's finished
Okay.
entering.
There you go. Thank you, ma'am.
I'm gonna go print reports.
Okay.
Then I'll have-
Okay.
Did you want to do 2 per precinct in regard to the yellow sheets as well?
The yellow sheets are
Your
the,
ID exception forms. So those are the ones that we have that y'all have to look over to make sure that they checked a reason as to why they had a reasonable impediment or a reasonable issue as to why they couldn't include a photocopy of an ID.
Mhm.
And so if they chose option number 1, which is the inability to make a photocopy, they have to give you either the last 4 digits of a social or a driver's license number.
Right.
If they choose anything else other than that, they're not required to give me one of those numeric identifiers. So
Does everybody agree that that's okay? 2 per for that?
how many are there?
in that basket right there, 241.
So that'd be a much higher percentage of ID forms than I'm actually more interested in the absentee ballots than the ID forms. But how about one? I just
One
per
One per
precinct
precinct?
on ID
Okay,
forms.
sure.
That's still by
39,
proportion a lot higher than
10%.
Get you guys started on that.
Do you have your sheet handy? Huh?
I do not have it handy.
The cheat sheet,
If you don't have one,
oh, we have one. Just in his house, and I don't know where he put it.
you found it.
I did.
Give the investigative report.
Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome. We did make several phone calls today in regards to deficiency. So if it is, again, a photo ID issue or the voter failed to sign or sign in the incorrect area, that prompts a cure letter, which we can take up until the day before canvass at 5 p.m. to fix it. However, we had quite a few, unfortunately, that just failed to complete the return envelope altogether.
Wow.
So yeah, so we've been making phone calls all day to let them know that their only option at this point is to go to their home precinct on election day.
There's 2 of those.
Thank you, ma'am.
what would be an example of what they didn't do?
Witness deficiencies. And a witness deficiency can be something as simple as the witness not signing, but these were just blank return envelopes altogether.
Oh, okay.
We've had several where they didn't return it in this envelope, they returned it in the outside mailer, so there was no signature notification on that.
And so those ballots have to be spoiled, they can't be cured.
Correct. And there's no time for us to mail out a new ballot packet, so the state has recommended that we reach out to them. So we've been making telephone calls, leaving messages, and if need be, we've been sending emails that they send us any contact information on their absentee ballot request form and or any other sort of documentation that they've had with the office.
What is curable on the, return envelope?
Something that the witness has a deficiency, not witness, the voter has a deficiency. And so let's say the voter failed to sign, or the voter failed to give me either their ID or the yellow sheet. That's something that they can cure. So that's something that we would send out a cure letter, and they have until the day before canvass. So this will be November 14th at 5 p.m. to make that amendment to it.
So the voter's information can be cured, but the witness
Correct.
information cannot be cured.
Correct. And in regards to the witness, they have to sign it. So if I have a printed name and an address, but no signature, that's something I have to cure. I'm sorry, do a deficiency letter on unfortunately for that.
So even if their signature just looks like,
I
It's gotta
can
be-
take the ones that look like Loch Ness monsters where it's a squiggle, but if it's just blank altogether, I cannot.
oh, blank, but okay.
Yeah.
If they
Yeah.
signed it at all,
If they made any attempt to make a signature,
yes.
then I can take it. But if it's completely blank on the signature line, I cannot.
At the top where underneath the person's name, when it says county board approval.
They like to initial.
Uh-huh.
That's for us.
Okay, because I saw initials on some. but-
Yeah, they just see a slot, and so they just go ahead and just put their name on it or their initials on it.
Very much.
It was up here on that top. Some have been initialed and it says county board approval.
Yeah, that's not me.
Yeah, I was wondering because it wasn't your initials.
But that's no problem in the long run.
No.
That was the first one I noticed. I'm sure there are others, but since we're doing random selection.
It occurs more often than not.
You go, girl. Your driver's license is expired.
Yeah, I feel bad.
Mhm. There were quite a few. I was like, oh, it's still
But she
within
was
a
not-
year mark. So
No, this lady's 98 years old.
Yeah.
Oh, you knew, okay.
there are some on the cusp of 100. So
Oh, pretty good on her.
I'm telling you what.
and I do have one that you guys will need to deliberate on.
Okay.
So
Then the first time presidential voters. 19. On the other end of the scale.
Provisional license. Gary.
Oh.
That's what.
Yeah, I folded that up. It was all messed up. Yeah, that's the second
Second one tonight.
one. Tonight, yes, ma'am.
Thanks for getting those IDs ready.
Good
Lord, found the chair leg. Okay.
That's the military.
Okay.
And then here is your civilian. Okay? Yeah. Okay. Now that's all I had to, that's all the reports to print.
Until after the board meeting, we gotta print this again to show the yellow sheets. Cause they don't show up
Do
on
you have
that.
to zap those? Or-
They've already been
Zap.
scanned. Yeah, they're just pending approval.
Okay.
Yeah, so that report had to get reprinted again
Right.
after they approve. it.
Okay. All right.
It's convoluted, yes.
I'm going to be doing my own server needs. If you need me,
I'll call them.
If person has a hyphenated name, but then they don't add the second name that's hyphenated
We were
in their
told,
signature.
yeah, we were told by the state that if that's how they sign their name, that is how we have to fix it.
Okay, that's how it is on the license.
Yeah. And we noticed that with a lot of our Hispanic, population, and that's because they have a dual hyphenated name, because one is a paternal name and one is a maternal name. So it depends
And they
on,
usually go by the maternal name.
yeah.
Which, yeah.
Mhm, okay.
And so depending on how it is,
It's Ricky's wife. She goes by.
it might not validate one way, but it'll validate another.
So you still get the fucking Right.
I've done-
Oh, you done?
No, well, no, what I've done before is I'll like write a check to pay a bill and then I'll go to put the check in. And I don't pay me. That's what I used to do. Their passport.
There are a couple of passport cards in there too, so they're a little different than a standard
Right.
passport layout.
The passport here has, am I reading this wrong? The date of expiration, June 2021.
2031 is expiration. It was issued on 2021.
I knew I was wrong, and I wanted to tell everybody.
In advance,
On
I think
camera.
Everybody on the ticket too, right?
everybody can move on. with it.
Hopefully not about the same, just about the same.
You start second guessing yourself sometimes.
Growing up, my dad was telling me that I thought I was wrong once, but I was mistaken. I know how that is. Well, they gave us a full copy.
I'm gonna let y'all deal with it. I guess 2006 would be sweet.
The amount of young people here.
Yeah.
So, no, on the side.
It's
Depending
on the side.
yeah, depending on the vendor.
No,
and determine where it-
you got a signature for sure. This page have signature. Your ID. And it's passport. Let me go to those systems. Right? You're on the side.
I think I've seen a signature on the passport.
It's on the top. They fill it out.
Yeah, we're not looking at signatures on the photo ID. You're just strictly looking at the photograph to make sure it resembles a human being. And that it falls within the expiration and that the name is substantially similar to that on the envelope of the voter.
But I thought that they had actually sent their passport. It felt like it.
Unfortunately, I had two people send me their true temporary driver's licenses.
Oh my goodness.
So that was a couple of phone calls on that. So, we did have a few, bless them. I mean, it was super sweet. They sent their birthday pictures from the nursing home for their photo ID. It was really sweet. They looked great. So I know. It's all like, oh. And I will say with the new driver's license, they really have made it hard to photocopy. It's difficult. There's a perfect area where you've got to get the balance of toner and color just right.
They're kind of hard to read.
Well, yeah, and they're meant to be hard to forge, and they're meant to be hard to copy as well. So it's
So we
either
require an ID that's hard to copy. A copy of an ID that's hard to copy.
Well, and the weird
the
thing
font
is,
is so small.
Gary says it's federal, it's federal law to photocopy a passport, but we have that on our list of the IDs for us to go. And then it says don't send the real thing. Anyway,
I haven't gotten any real driver's licenses or passports yet, so I'm grateful for that. So I've had those in the past though.
You need fishing licenses.
No, I haven't gotten any of those.
I have fishing license, so pictures not in there yet. That's the only reason I haven't gotten
that was permanent when you,
That costs too much.
well, I think,
Too much.
depends your age, you like, you have,
Oh, the lifetime pass?
so like,
70.
I prefer my fishing unlicensed.
Unlicensed, I prefer it that way too.
I,
unfortunately.
I haven't fished in about 10 years, but
There's a stock trout pond and we have our place. So.
Oh, with the mountain. Sadly, the fishing pier I
Yeah,
used to go to when I was
Do you
younger
have
is
your-
no longer.
Yes, lifetime.
I think you gotta be on your phone to get one. Yeah.
only $15.
For a
For a
day.
lifetime,
Yeah, lifetime.
Well, I paid more than that for a year.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's the day price. Okay.
Well, mine, the Virginia one, that might be the difference. I do have my national parks.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. We get more. Shenandoah.
No, Falls, no, Falls, Lake, one of the lakes in Raleigh, their park, that's what I got it. Nope, that's might have been Falls Lake. It was,
Gordon, Gordon,
yeah,
I think on the 40 years.
Was the large pile of ivy.
The yellows, yes.
You said the address here has to be the same way.
Nope, address does not matter.
Picture.
The picture has to be of a human, of a person, and then the name has to be substantially similar to that on the label and voter registration.
Can't be a side.
No, can't. Makes you wonder about fake ID and stuff.
This is a lizard.
unless a lizard is your actual name.
So that is a cure letter that you see behind it. So what had happened was he probably failed to give me an ID with the first go round, or he put it inside with the ballot, and I can't open those.
Yeah,
So you had to send a cure letter, and that's how he amended it.
that's amazing.
Oh no, his was a no signature, so that's what it was.
We'll see what they. We have to do, yeah, probably watch it. Yeah, yeah.
You have to provide some extra IDs.
So it'd be full federal.
For the real ID.
Is that what it is, real?
Yeah.
The real ID.
Called the
I'm
real
gonna
ID,
get one
the
soon.
gold star.
Yeah.
You had to do, I think, 2 additional documents. I think one for citizenship, one for residency. And then they got you to the Secretary of State at the federal level. And then you get a gold star.
That's what they look.
Yep. So if you see the ones on the driver's license that says not for federal identification,
Right.
it means it's not. They
You
can't
can't
go
get
into
to
a federal
federal
building,
building.
and it takes them a little bit longer to go to check at the airport.
That's a gold, that's like a silver star.
He's got a lifetime fishing license and a gold star.
That's right. I'm prepared.
So that means you can get back in the country.
I even have my fishing permit for 2 weeks. I'm ready.
I almost popped.
Hold the cart.
Sorry,
Unbelievable.
I interrupted that.
Some worms in the fridge.
I kept my phone in ski clothes.
It's too late. It's too late now.
I'm sorry, Judson.
Never forgiven.
Yeah, those are all your yellow sheets. So those are the exception forms. And Don't know if it's the state or if it's a group that has been sending out telephone calls and text messages, but we've been fielding a lot of telephone calls in the office saying, I received notification that my ballot did not count and it's invalid. So when we pull them up, it's because their affidavit pending cure. It's a yellow
Okay.
sheet. So I don't know how that information is getting out and who's telling people that their vote hasn't counted. But if anybody asks,
Their votes.
their vote's going to count. It's just pending your approval at the very end of the day.
So they can't look it up on.
They'll either look it up and it'll say invalid return, or so, or like I said, a lot of them are saying they were getting telephone calls and text messages saying your vote didn't count. This is your cure letter.
Okay, so this,
Yeah. So
oh, gotcha. Now,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was
no.
listening to you and I
So
wasn't-
he fixed the problem.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. So you threw that in there to test you.
There will, yeah, that's,
Mhm.
so that's why that voted it. So they caught it. And she told me I'm listening up. At least I recognize the voted it, signed it.
You got a not sure letter next time. The last one.
I think that might be the last I did. Okay, now I have my buckets.
Fully confident that you do.
My office is nothing but buckets. Thank you.
On the other one. Things just be going slow.
No.
So if they choose any option other than one, they have to follow up the documentation.
No, if they choose any option other than one, they do not need to provide me any sort of numeric identifier. So that's the only one that I have
So
to have.
one is
something.
this, you have one, but you don't have to put it on.
Correct.
So you send them a number.
Mhm.
And the others
And that's
are
why, yeah,
taken
everything
because of
else,
other reasons.
everything else is just the reason why they have a reasonable impediment to have not put that copy in their board.
But they can also just vote provisional and come back and bring ID later without doing the form.
No, so if you vote provisional on election day and you don't have a photo ID or you don't have a documentation, there's a special election day provisional photo ID exception form. So Karen's is a little different than mine. So not much, but there are some differences. Still waiting for somebody to fold it in the Word document style and get the.
If the notary doesn't provide a stamp,
That is not installed. And it might be one of the ones that are embossed. Where you can see it. So, Like they'll drop down on the, but their seals don't seem to last very well.
There's not a circumstance where they have to come back and bring something into the office,
Other than provisional.
so that you could just, the voter could just decide they didn't want to do it, exception form, vote provisional, and then bring it in before campus.
How many of you have a printer at home?
Yeah.
That Justin doesn't.
Nope.
You do? A lot. I was really surprised that I always had a printer at home, but most younger people
They don't,
don't.
because everything.
I barely use anything paper.
Mhm.
All my bills are electronic.
Well,
Less of my information floating around.
often you work at a place where you can print for free. Do you check these numbers that they send in?
Yep, that's why it's got that check mark on it.
Yeah, everybody's got a blue pen. No.
No, yeah. So what I do is I verify that we have one of the two numbers that validates with it in our system.
And if it doesn't check, you send a cure letter.
Knock on wood, everything's been good thus far.
You haven't had to send one for that reason.
I've had to send two out because they failed to sign at the bottom.
Yeah.
So,
Like you.
yeah. But I've only had to send two of those out, and one of them was today, and the voter actually called saying, my vote shows up that it's invalid, what's going on? And I told her, I was like, you're going to get a letter in the mail in a couple of days, just fill it out and send it back, you'll be fine.
Just to keep asking questions.
No, absolutely.
If you check the driver's license and it's an expired driver's license, then the same rules apply.
Yes, it does. So like if I have one of their driver's licenses and it comes up as invalid or suspended, that's why I send another cure letter out. I've had one where it came back invalid and it was, I think they might have transposed the number because it came up to a completely different individual.
Yeah.
So that was a cure letter that had gone out. And when I got it back, sure enough, it was, they had flip-flopped two of the numbers. I think they were trying to count the leading zeros. So-
This one looks against it.
If it's the good thick plastic, it goes in on the side. If it's the chintzy, crinkly kind, it goes on the top.
Okay, good.
Sometimes it's not best to be the last one. You need to fold it again, you can.
And the romance a little bit. Hopefully for the
80%. That's okay.
If they sign your name differently on the exception form from
Yes, it's gone, because this one they did it initially, that one they didn't.
I do inside.
Yes. So that's one of the ones you'll have to, if you want me to, I can open it, because what we did for this one, we did send them out a letter to fix it, but we haven't received it yet. So I can either open it with your with you guys being present to get it, so I can at least get it to be scanned and accepted, or I can wait until that cure letter comes
It's easy for you.
for you guys, for us to open
Well,
it.
so, yeah, so,
You guys, everybody go with that?
told them because I do too, right?
Yes.
I mean, you are, so you just do that. Did they put that in there? Did you?
They do it, they did it instead of putting it right.
No, I just meant, did they put that yellow sticky in there?
Yes, they did.
Oh, okay.
So they did what they did.
Oh, he put it in and sealed it and then put the sticky in.
Yes.
I put my ID in.
There's a lot going on with these.
There is, and I feel so bad. So when they get their ballot packet, they get 2 envelopes, the ballot, 4 pages worth of instructions,
Yeah.
a yellow ID exception form, and then they get that poster for acceptable photos. So it's a lot.
This is a government operation.
Yeah, I watched my mom work her way through her packing.
Oh my God. And then on top of it, the 17-inch ballot, front and back. You know. And then we've had a couple of calls in regards to, candidates. They're like, I don't even know what this party is. And I was like, I can't tell you anything about this party. It hasn't remained nonpartisan.
You can
Neither do
look
I.
it up.
You can Google us. I hate to say that, but
Go to-
Google's your best
Go to
friend at
this
this point.
machine. And then once you look it up, then tell us.
Tell them. And then this is another one I need to get your approval
Okay.
on. I'll kill that one.
That's the kind of question that kills me, really. You don't know who they are, how you vote for.
Well, they're trying to consider their options, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yes.
Are you checking your IDs? Pass it over here. Let me see if you're legit.
Would you make that aging before it doesn't matter for that or
I haven't gotten it yet.
He really remembers that whole rain thing at Food Line. It never ends.
Supposed to be a man of cloth. A fellow working.
Complete but never goes to the.
That's right.
Okay, so this one I had called the voter and I called the witnesses, and evidently the second witness is the son-in-law to the voter. So there were some short words said by the voter about said son-in-law. So the son-in-law filled out the notary section and realized I'm not a notary, I'm a witness. Put it in the second slot, had his wife, the daughter, sign and the first witness sign. However, the voter scratched out both sections and then put good to indicate that it was all right. So I said, I spoke with the voter. He said some choice words about his son-in-law signing in the wrong spot. I spoke with both witnesses and they said, yes, we're witnesses. Why he X'd out, we don't know. And I said, well, thank you very much. I will let the board decide whether or not to accept that.
Now, did you talk to the voter? Did he say why they were X'd out?
Because he said some choice words about his son-in-law signing in the wrong spot. So
She's gonna get the board.
But then wrote good.
yeah, so the voter did the X's, not the witness.
Right.
So that's why the voter put and here and then good here to indicate that the son-
I see.
the son-in-law fixed the problem.
Ex-son-in-law.
It sounds kind of like he made the problem worse.
It was an interesting conversation, I can definitely say.
And the witnesses you were able to look up?
I did. I
on the
called them.
voters?
Yeah, I called them both, and I said, I just need to know, did you witness the voter vote? And he was under coercion or anything like that. And they said, yes, he got a little grumpy and took the envelope and we just started Xing away and we fixed it. And then he wrote good to say everything's all right. Like I said, it was an interesting conversation.
You should have just got called the exact.
You can see it happening.
Do we need to say that that's okay?
Yeah, I just need you to agree whether or not you need me to accept it or not accept it.
Move to accept.
Second. All in favor?
They've got enough problems without protecting their own.
I'm sure of it. Because I think they live with the father. So,
There's the problem.
so I'm sure the son-in-law probably won't be hearing the end of it for a very, very long time. So the numbers I'm going to read to you do not include any of the yellows. So what we received in today for military, we are looking at 36 came in. For our overseas voters, we had a total of 75 come in. And then
But
for
that's not counting
the military was
36.
36 of the
36.
75.
No, separate. Separate.
That's,
Mhm.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And then overall civilian minus your yellow sheets was 1,120.
That's since last Tuesday.
Yes. And I've had to issue, as of 5 o'clock today, I've had to issue 6 or 7 emergency ballots. So what those are for individuals who intended to vote tomorrow, but due to something, they ended up in the emergency room or the hospital for an extended stay. So they were allowed to request, or have a family member request an emergency ballot, where we have to print the packet, get the ballot ready, and then hand it to the voters and your relative, and they have to vote it and bring it back. So a lot of heart attacks happened this weekend.
It's just good to know. I didn't know that was a thing.
It is, but it's only good until 5 p.m. today. So if somebody were to say, hey, my dad wanted to vote today, it's election day, but he's in the hospital for whatever reason, I cannot issue any more emergency ballots
After 5 today.
after 5 today.
So have your medical emergency early enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel bad, but
So
Down to the poll and check back in.
we don't need to wait for Dawn to come back. Right?
no. So the only person that I need to sign, because you're going to have to sign the 2 O sheets, but I've got to update the number, so I need to know whether or not you guys approve and accept the audits of the yellow sheets.
Okay,
So
so
that'll
your
change your
motion to approve and accept the audit sheets.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
And then that is it for me.
Okay.
And then tomorrow, I know we're going to start
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock running, and we've had our bipartisan team duplicating, I'd say probably 90% of the ballots. But they, like I said, they were coming in consistently all day, especially my military overseas electronically. So there's probably about another dozen and a half that will need to be duplicated tomorrow.
So do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Uh,
All in favor? Let's do it. See y'all tomorrow.
Thank you, Charlene.
Oh, thank you guys. I appreciate it. I'm sorry for the wait, but
No problem.
we had they had until 5 o'clock, and I was like, ah.
And they came in till 5 o'clock.
And they, I mean,
Adult.
I think we had 2 people come in right at 5 o'clock. So.
I saw him standing over there when I was.
I mean, I got here at 7:30 this morning. We had people in the parking lot waiting.